As for coronavirus, you know much of this today, but there's a couple of things that may have missed when it's just been this blitzkrieg of news, information, breaking news and panic that the media is trying to throw at you all day, every day, because it's good for much of their business, I'll be honest. You know that Donald Trump made his decision to ban people coming in from Europe. Now, this was poorly explained by him in his address from the Oval Office today, because he made it sound like basically no flights will be allowed to make their way from Europe into the US. People who will be able to come back in after Friday are American citizens, and it will not affect goods, despite the fact that the President had actually said that in his speech. He's got to own that, but the truth is he's made a decision on his borders. Borders matter. Again, the left would love us to believe of free movement and you can move from Central America to the main central United States and make your way wherever you want because you can just march. Well, the truth is borders matters and leaders have to defend them. However, I should tell you, the stock market doesn't like the decision that was made because, and we'll get into this in a little later, you have to make choices and there will be losers and there will be consequences. A lot of stocks that have anything to do with travel, particularly the airlines, are going to cop it and cop it big because the main travel is from Europe to the US each and every day. As for sport, now a lot of people have again misinterpreted what happened in the United States. There are players in the NBA who have tested positive for coronavirus. That's why they have suspended all games. As for whether or not crowds would be able to turn up, look, let's be very clear about how it works in the United States. Could you imagine if you got coronavirus while going to an NBA game and somebody would be able to find an ambulance-chasing lawyer who would be able to say that you knowingly put me in danger and years and years and years and millions of dollars? So they've hit pause. That's their decision. As for the Formula One, at this stage, it is still going on, despite the fact that, and to be honest, it's a weird decision, that there are half a dozen members of teams who will be intimately around pit lane this weekend have all tested positive to coronavirus. Lewis Hamilton says that the almighty dollar has won. To put this again into context, for those who say it's time to shut down everything, 128 Australians have coronavirus. 128. Those who have died have been people in nursing homes with a cluster at one nursing home. What will be used as a potential reason for the banning of mass gatherings is that somebody who went to the Women's T20 final at the MCG tested positive for coronavirus. They've got it down to a specific stand and they're trying to work out and try and contact everyone else who may well have been around that person on Sunday night. Victoria is talking about limiting Anzac Day to only veterans, and we hear tonight that in Western Australia a decision will be made in the next couple of days about whether any Anzac Day commemorations will take place, because many of the people who are the veterans of this country who fought in most certainly the World War II, and some people who fought in wars like Korea and Vietnam, well, their ages are starting to get up there. And that means that they are the absolute definition of potentially vulnerable people here. Of course, like you, I would hate to see any trimming back in the commemoration and remembrance of Anzac Day. But that's the chat that's happening right now. And as for the stock markets, I told you earlier in the week, people were getting a little bit over the top, but basically things were where they were 12 months ago. Things have got worse. On the ASX, it went down 7.2%, and the market is now back to where it was in October 2016. It's got more than a haircut. It's starting to get down to the skin. As for the New York Stock Exchange, that is now down another 5%, and that is now back to December 2018. The futures market, which is people who bet about where the market is going to go when it opens, or certainly a bet on what is going to happen today, they expect another 1,200-point drop in that market in the US. So hold on to your hats. It's going to be one hell of a ride. But as I have said about the share market, if you are somebody who cares about what happened today, yesterday, and is deeply invested in what happens tomorrow, okay, I get the concern. But for most people, you're going to ride it out. You'll ride it out for a couple of years. You'll ride it out for 5 years. You'll ride it out for 10 years.